asking for a deferral,
Mr. Chairman, to the June meeting,
and allowing the two pieces of work product that I've requested to be presented.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, the motion is on the floor. For any action?
Yes, sir.
For any action?
But I think what he wants to do is you want to what's called add a subsidiary motion, which is to postpone definitely to June meeting to take this vote, correct?
Yes.
And that takes precedence over the main
That was
motion.
that was my comment, Mr. Chairman. In order to appropriately dispense of this, a substitute motion needs to be in order.
Right.
One or both, to either combine it into one or two separate ones.
So you are you're making a motion to postpone until June this vote.
And to seek the two work products that I've described,
Okay,
one from the Attorney General and one from the Commissioner.
Okay, do I have a second to that postponement?
second.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, can I give legal opinion?
Yes.
I will tell you, my opinion is, again, it's comply with everything you have to do to have this properly before you. I will also tell you, there are no alternatives to regulation here because the General Assembly has mandated this board to promulgate regulations. There are simply no alternatives here. The other thing I will let you know is that if a vote is deferred until June, the emergency regulations will lapse. You all will not be in compliance with the General Assembly mandate.
Mr. Chairman, I would disagree strongly with Allison's position. We're not asking, we're not suggesting that there not be regulations. We are specifically addressing it to Section 370, and my position would be that we as a board, given our discretion, we are fully in compliance with the requirements of the General Assembly by doing this deferral and seeking what amounts to a modification to 370 so that we can comply with other aspects of the Virginia Code.
I understand. There is a motion on the floor to postpone definitely to June, the main motion.
Mr.
I just
Chairman?
needed to get it stated. Okay.
The only comment I have is that I just want to state that I too agree that we have been in full compliance. And in spite of the General Assembly's specific regulation, we did consider an alternative that was not within our ability to do this, but we explored grandfathering at great length. We have done that. We have an impact study, perhaps you didn't read it, that is in our book that clearly on page 2 outlines what you have asked. We have been in compliance, we have it in front of us, and I would call it a question.
Okay, there's a motion to call for the question. Is there a second?
Second.
What I mentioned
Is it?
not.
Wait. There's no discussion. All in favor, raise your hand of calling the question. We'll stop the debate. Okay, we will stop debate and we'll go directly to the motion to postpone definitely till June, voting on the main motion. A vote yes means you postpone it. A vote no means that you do not postpone it. Does everybody understand that? We're voting on whether we're going to postpone or not. Catherine, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Clements?
No.
Ms. Corley?
No.
Mr. Deaton?
No.
Dr. Dietrich Hay?
No.
Mr. Edmondson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
No.
Dr. Escobar,
No.
Dr. J,
Yes.
Dr. Johnson, Dr. Seeds,
No.
Dr. Slusher,
No.
Ms. Taylor. No. Ms. Best.
No.
Mr. Chair, I have 11 against and 2 for.
Okay, that fails. We'll go to the main motion. Are there any other further discussion on the main motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Jim.
in the continuing battle to tilted windmills, I would like to propose an amendment to the regulations, specifically relating to Section 370. And I have provided a copy of that proposed language change to Kathy.
And that's been distributed to all the board members.
All the board members have that language in front of you.
This here, right?
Yes.
It's,
Essentially,
it looks familiar.
Can you recap it for us in the audience?
I'm sorry?
Can you recap it?
Certainly. The idea here is to, it's the grandfathering provision. It would apply this particular section only at such time as substantial alterations or new facilities were being built.
Okay. Has everybody had a chance to read that? Do I have a second on that amendment?
Second.
All right, there is a motion to amend on the floor, which essentially is in front of all of you right there, to reestablish the grandfather clause in 370. Is there any discussion? Yes.
This language is the same language that you all adopted in June, that our office did not certify as exceeding your authority. Again, this board does not have the authority to grandfather in existing clinics. And I think that has become even more clear after this past General Assembly session, where there were bills in both the House and the Senate that would have grandfathered the clinics, and none of those passed. So again, this amendment would exceed this board's statutory authority.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would say that while we can't help but agree with Allison's observation about what happened in this last General Assembly, I think the reality is that public opinion in this state is quite different, and it's a shame that the issues such as this one, which is so emotional and so political, that those two factors have to interfere with the provision of legal opinion.
I'm sorry.
I look at this issue is not for life and for choice. I look at this issue as good government. And I remind you of present information in the last June meeting last year and showing you how inconsistent of the regulation we're trying to adopt. And so if you adopt this regulation, the board was selected for the entire regulation to a single clinic. And that's so different from outpatient, inpatient hospital, and even nursing home facility. And Paul, you know, the regulation deal with the nursing facility that is differentiated existing in new building. I review all regulation, start in the 40, 70, 90. I did my homework, and I know it's great inconsistency. So if you adopt this regulation today, and I anticipate you will do so, the board will revisit the regulation related to outpatient, inpatient hospital, and even nursing home facility. And that's the only way to deal with it. And I try to convince you, present information to have it easy, more of a workable when it is a grandfather. Either you grandfather to make a regulation consistent with other hospital facilities, or we're going to revisit and making all the regulations and methods of abortion clinic. And that will cost more money to other outpatient, inpatient facilities. And I don't think we want to see that to the nursing facilities.
Amy?
I just have some